highlighting tutorial for you. I have been waiting to do this tutorial forever, and it is the Naked 3 palette tutorial. And I absolutely love this palette. It is one of my new favorites. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this. This is just a very pretty kind of pinky purple smoky eye. It's one of my all-time favorite looks to wear. I love purples and I love soft smoky eyes. And this look isn't too hard to recreate, so I hope you guys enjoy it. This palette is probably my new favorite Naked palette. It's just so flattering and so pretty on. It's very like romantic and feminine, and I love it. And this look will look great on green and brown eyes. Purples really bring out green and hazel eyes, and purple looks amazing on brown eyes as well. But anyone can wear this look. So if you guys want to see how to recreate this look, just keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with a bare face. I don't have any foundation on because I'm going to be using some darker colors on my eyes that may have some fallout, and I don't want to mess up my foundation. So I'm just going to start off with no makeup on. I already applied a primer on my eyelids. I used the NARS eyeshadow base. Feel free to use any primer that you like, but make sure that you use one because it's going to make your eyeshadow last longer and look more vibrant. Okay, I'm going to start off with the color called Limit. It's kind of a pinky taupe color. I always like to start off with my transition or blending color. So I'm just going to take a big fluffy brush and kind of blend this through my crease and kind of up to my brow bone in this area, just to kind of create a nice transition. We put down our other colors, and it's just going to help everything look really smooth and blended. Okay, next I'm actually going to use the brush that the palette came with, and I'm going to go into Strange, which is this lightest color, and this is going to work as the highlight underneath our brow bone. And I think this end of the brush is just perfect for highlighting your brow because it's the perfect size, and it's a little bit fluffy, so it kind of helps blend it with the other colors that you have going on. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so the first lid color that I'm going to be using is called Buzz, and it's kind of this pinky, purpley, shimmery color. It's so pretty, and I'm choosing this because it's kind of a medium tone. It's not super light, and it's not like a really dark lid color like this would be. This one's just really pretty, and it looks so pretty on the eyes. It has a really pinky hue to it that really shows up. Okay, so I'm just going to take a flat shader brush and pack that on the brush, tap off the excess. It has a lot of glitter in it. So just tap it off so you don't get too much fallout. And I'm just going to put that all over my lid. And it looks much more pink once you have it on. It's really pretty. Make sure you bring it all the way up to meet that crease color, but you don't want to like bring it above the crease. Okay, so we have our lid color on. Next I'm going to go in with this small tapered crease brush. I love this for the crease because it's very precise, but it's also fluffy, so it blends it at the same time. So I love that. It's the E45 by Sigma, so I always recommend this brush. I love it. I'm going to go into the color Nooner, and it's kind of just a slightly darker version of the first color that we used to blend out. It's kind of a matte medium taupe color, and this is going to add some depth to the crease. So I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush and go right into the deepest part of my crease. You can kind of tilt your head back, see where that is, and just focus it right in there. Right now I'm just placing down the color. I'm not going to blend it out too much yet. So you can already tell the difference between the two eyes. This has a lot more definition and depth to it. It looks like my eye has a lot more depth and looks a lot bigger. This eye is just kind of flat and one-dimensional. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this eye. Okay, now that we have that color down, you can go ahead and just take your fluffy brush and lightly run around the edges of it so it's not too harsh. Okay, so now for this part of the tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and darken up the outer half of my eyelid. And to be honest, when I do this look, I use any of these three colors. Sometimes I'll use a few of them, sometimes I'll just use one of them. You can kind of pick whichever one you want. It's Factory, Mugshot, Dark Side, or Blackheart. I honestly forget the names, but any of these three kind of darker taupey colors are going to work. This one's a little bit warmer of a brown, this one's not quite as dark, and this one's more of a gray color. You can use whichever one you want. I think I'm going to use Dark Side today, but again, feel free to use whichever one you want. They all look really well and work for this step. They're just going to give you a slightly different look, but they're kind of in the same shade range, so they're going to do kind of the same thing. So I'm just going to take that on a pencil brush and start darkening up this outer corner. And don't be afraid to darken it up. We are going to blend it out. So I'm just going to press this into the outer corner and that kind of outer V shape. And you can bring it into the crease a little bit. Now I'm a big fan of blending as you go, so I'm going to go back in with that little crease brush that I use and very lightly blend over it and kind of blend it into that crease color. You don't need to blend it out too much, just that's about it. And you can go around the edges again if you want to, just to make sure we're not getting a harsh line and then have to blend it all out at the end. Okay, so you can totally stop here as far as the top eyeshadow goes and just move on, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit more dramatic and a little bit smokier. So I'm going to take Blackheart, which is this gorgeous last color. It's kind of a dark plum with kind of a red shimmer to it. It's probably one of my favorite colors in the palette. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with that pencil brush again, and I'm just going to get a tiny bit on my brush. Tap off the excess, and I'm just going to go over the color I put down but keep it more on the outer corner, so I'm not going to bring it as far in on the lid. So you can still see that other color, but this is just going to go on the very outer corner and slightly into the crease. So you can already tell it kind of bumped up the smokiness compared to the size. So just going to finish blending that out, and you can also kind of drag it along the lash line a little bit, so when we put down our eyeliner, it has a nice like smoky background coming through. Okay, so that's it for the top eyeshadow. I'm going to go ahead and put on my concealer and my foundation, and I'll come back and show you what I do for the lower lash line. Okay, I was doing my foundation, and I just had to show you guys, isn't the difference between under eye concealer amazing? This is with concealer, this is without concealer. I'm just saying, don't forget your concealer. Okay, so now I have my foundation on, and as you can tell, it looks kind of weird once you have concealer but nothing on the lower lash line. It looks a little creepy, to be honest. So I'm going to go back in with my pencil brush. I just kind of wiped it off so I don't have too much of that dark color on it. And I'm going to go ahead and go into Nooner, which is that first color that we used to darken up the crease. It's kind of that matte taupe color. And this is kind of going to work the same way on the lower lash line. We are going to darken it up. This will just help it look nice and blended and not start off with too dark of a color. So I'm just going to run that underneath my lashes. And this color, you can, don't be afraid to bring it down a little bit further, because we're going to keep the darker colors closer to the waterline. Okay, so you can already tell that added some normal balance to the eye look so it doesn't look as top heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and go in with this small eyeliner brush. I love this. It's from Sonia Kashuk, and I'm going to go ahead and go into Dark Side, that kind of dark gray color. And I'm going to just keep this color a little bit closer to my lashes and bring it about halfway in. Oh, I always get dark eyeshadow in my contacts. Not fun. Okay, now I'm going to go into Blackheart, our darkest color. And I'm just going to do the same thing, darken up the very outer corner and keep it really close to my lashes. So I'm just going to press it in. And you can kind of connect it to the top if you want to, so you don't have a gap. Do the same thing here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go back in with the pencil brush and just lightly run over all the colors so it's not too harsh. Okay, next I'm going to take this tiny little brush and go back into Strange, the highlight color, and just pop it on my inner corners to kind of brighten up my eyes a little bit. It's not too shimmery, but it just kind of opens up the eyes and keeps them looking too closed in with all the other dark colors. Okay, so now we're done with eyeshadow. I'm going to move on to the eyeliner. I didn't want to do a black liner with this look. I kind of wanted to keep in the color family of these really pretty purples and taupes and kind of the pinky family that we have going on. So I'm going to use a dark eggplant purple liner. This is from Jordana. It's their made to last 12-hour liquid pencil liner. And it's about $1 or $2 at the drugstore, and they're really, really creamy and pigmented, and they remind me of the Urban Decay liners. So Urban Decay has a liner very similar in this color. I think it's called Rockstar, that I saw when I was buying the Naked 3 palette, and I thought this would be the perfect dupe to kind of create the same look. So I'm just going to line my upper lash line, not too precisely because we are going to smudge it out with some shadow. So I'm just going to run it, and we already have this little bit of definition from the dark color that we put on our upper lash line, so we really don't need that much more. But I'm just going to kind of darken it up and line all the way to the inner corner. And you can make this line as thick or as thin as you like. I like kind of a medium line. And then you can take your brush, you can dip it into a little bit of that darker color if you want to, and just kind of smooth out this line so it's not such a harsh line. And again, you can totally customize this. If you like a more blended outline, you can really smoke it out, or you can leave it more definite if you want. So that's it for the liner. I actually made it a little bit thicker than I would have liked, but that is totally okay. So I'm going to take the same liner and I'm going to lightly line my waterline. You don't have to do this step, but I think it looks really pretty with the purple. So I'm just going to lightly line it, and that will be it for the liner. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. Now, a quick tip, if you made your eyeliner a little bit too thick like I did on this side towards the inner corner, all you have to do is take your flat shader brush with whatever was left over on it and just kind of go over it, and it totally softens it up so it looks more even with this eye. I do that all the time, and it's really easy to fix. You don't have to worry about it being perfect, especially with a smoky eye. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and curl my lashes, put on some mascara, fill in my eyebrows, and I'll be back to show you what I do for the rest of the face. Okay, so I got my eyebrows filled in, big difference, and mascara on. I put about 2 coats on. You could also add some individual false lashes. I think that would look really, really pretty with this look. But I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of bronzer. I feel like my face is looking a little one-dimensional. So I'm going to use my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Matte Bronzer and just a big, fluffy, tapered brush. And I'm just going to lightly go underneath my cheekbones. I don't want anything too dark. I really don't like a ton of bronzer, but I like a little bit just to add a little bit of dimension back into my face after I put foundation on. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter of my face. Okay, and then moving on to blush. I think any kind of light pink color would look fine with this look. I'm going to use this MAC blush. It's called Azalea in the Afternoon. It's from one of their new collections. I honestly don't really keep up with the MAC collections too much anymore, but this is, I think, from the Flowers collection. It's a very pretty shimmery baby pink, and I think it just looks so pretty with the other shimmery pinks we have on the eyes. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the back part of the apple of my cheek. And that blush already has some shimmer in it, so I'm not going to add a highlighter, but if you use matte blush, you can go ahead and add some highlight if you want to. And then as far as the lips go, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Naked Lip Gloss in Love Child. You can put a lipstick on first if you want to. I think I will. I think any light pink lipstick will work. I'm going to use MAC's Cream Cup. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that on because it's very, very light. And then I'm going to go ahead and go over it with the Naked Lip Gloss. And this is my new favorite lip gloss. It was in my last favorites video. And I just love it with this palette too. It's such a pretty baby pink, but it doesn't look too unnatural. Sometimes baby pinks look too pale, and I think this one's just like the perfect balance. Okay guys, so here is the finished look. I just zoomed you in so you can see the whole look a little bit better. I absolutely love this look, and I think it is so flattering, and it's such a pretty soft, feminine take on a smoky eye. So if you guys try it out, please send me a picture on Instagram. I will leave my link to Twitter and Instagram and my blog all linked down below. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!